Jack returned home closer to 9. The road had taken longer than usual. Snow mixed with rain, a traffic jam at the interchange. The taxi driver kept glancing at him in the mirror, as if afraid the passenger might suddenly start talking. Jack didn't. He sat in silence, staring out the window. The key turned in the lock with a soft click. He stepped inside quietly, as always, took off his coat, set his bag by the hallway wall. There was a sharp, citrusy smell in the air. New air freshener. That hadn't been there before. "You're back," Claire's voice called from the kitchen. Flat, without inflection. Not surprised, not happy, not annoyed. Just a statement. "Yeah, the road was rough." His tone was even. No reproach, no weariness. She came out, drying her hands on a towel. Fit figure, hair pulled back, lips bare, no makeup. At home, but almost too neat. Jack looked at her the way he looked at strangers, in an airport lounge, trying to figure out who they were, why they'd come. "Want me to heat up dinner?" she asked. "No, I ate on the way," he lied, wanting to see how she'd respond. How did it go? There was something like interest in her voice. Not concern, just the formal obligation to ask. "As usual." Meetings, documents, tired. He looked at her. She couldn't hold his gaze. She turned away. "All right, I'll tell the kids you're home," she said, and left. He stayed in the hallway, slowly untying his shoes. The shoe cabinet wasn't at its usual angle. A tiny thing, but he remembered it had been different. Same with the vase on the console table. Same with the painting in the hallway. Footsteps on the stairs. Light ones first, Emily. Then heavier, cautious. Tony. Jack straightened, put on the usual mask. "Dad!" Emily ran up first, hugged him for a second, then stepped back. "Hey, sweetheart." He brushed her hair gently with his hand. "You stayin' long?" Tony asked from the stairs, not coming all the way down. "I hope so." Jack met his son's eyes. The boy's gaze was direct, adult, as if he knew or expected something. Later, after they'd gone to bed, Jack walked through the house. Slowly, carefully. Like someone returning not to a home, but to a stage set of a familiar life. The kitchen was spotless. Too spotless. The sink was empty, dishes arranged by size, no crumbs or signs of dinner on the table. The fridge held containers of neatly portioned food. Identical lids. No labels. In the bedroom, their bed was made like in a hotel. Pillows aligned, blanket perfectly stretched. Jack took off his jacket and went into the walk-in closet. On the top shelf, a new bundle of ties. He hadn't bought them. On the right, a makeup bag he'd never seen before. From the bottom drawer, he slid out a box with a new bottle of men's cologne. Not his scent. Not even close. Back in the bedroom, he sat on the edge of the bed, listening. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Claire hadn't come in to say goodnight, hadn't checked if everything was all right. That used to be instinct. He lay down without covering himself, eyes on the ceiling. He wasn't feeling jealousy. This was about facts, not emotions. He started with the cologne, then remembered. His shaving gel in the bathroom was gone, moved, thrown out, or hidden. He closed his eyes, not sleeping, just listening, to the creak of floors, the change of bedsheets, the rhythm of the kids' breathing. Even the silence was wrong, like food seasoned with the wrong spice. At 3 a.m., he got up without turning on the light, went to the kitchen for water. On the table, an open notebook. Thursday, gym. Friday, salon. Neither the gym nor the salon had been part of her life for the last 6 months. He knew. Which meant either lies or code. He went back to the bedroom, sat in a chair by the window, staring into the dark yard beyond the tall fence. Sooner or later, something would show itself. A light in the wrong window. Footsteps. A scent. At dawn, Claire came in as if those hours hadn't passed. "I started laundry. If you've got clothes in your suitcase, put them in the basket." He nodded without looking at her, just watching. She didn't look back as she left, like a stranger who lives under the same roof, without explanation or fear. Or maybe too confident to be afraid. Children's voices in the hallway. Emily laughed, too loud, unnaturally bright, like on purpose. Tony spoke lower, but insistent. They were talking about which flower to draw in an art book. Odd topic for a Sunday morning. Jack stayed lying down, eyes closed, a habit from times when decisions had to be made before getting up. Now, it was just to think about how reality had changed. The house was different. Claire was different. Even the kids weren't the same. Jack got up and went to the bathroom. His towel was gone. On the hook, only a woman's towel. In the glass by the sink, a disposable razor. Not his. His old one with the wooden handle had vanished. Not a mistake. A replacement. Jack washed his face, careful not to touch anything unfamiliar. In the kitchen, Claire was already setting the table. Plates, napkins, toast. Everything arranged with precision. "You want eggs?" she asked calmly. "Number coffee. There's a new blend in the machine. A client brought it." He poured without looking at her. "Who brought it?" "A client, I told you. He gives it to everyone." He didn't answer. The coffee was bitter, not smooth as she'd promised. Either she hadn't noticed, or she'd lied. Both options were familiar. Tony came in, pausing in the doorway, glanced at his father, then sat down without a word. Emily followed with a drawing in her hand. "Dad, look." She handed him the paper. "Pretty," Jack said. The daisy was lopsided, with an extra petal. The extra is always the most noticeable. Claire sat across from him, eating toast without looking at him. "What's the plan today?" she asked. "Nothing. I'm home." "I mean, you're not going anywhere?" "I want to spend time with the kids." "But you said you had another meeting." "Cancelled." She studied his face. No surprise, no irritation, just calculating what it meant. "In that case, I'd have cancelled my cosmetologist appointment," she said after a pause. "No need." "Go ahead. I'll stay with them." The kids both looked up. Emily smiled. Tony kept eating. He knew something, or felt it. Jack noted. Lately, his son was silent too often. After breakfast, Jack cleaned the kitchen slowly. When he opened the trash bin, on top was an empty condom wrapper. New. He froze. The nearby pharmacy didn't carry that brand, which meant it hadn't been bought casually. Someone had brought it here. When? He closed the lid without touching it. In the hallway, Claire was digging through her bag, phone on the floor. "Lost something?" he asked. "Numbered just." "Found it." She buttoned her coat. "Want me to drive you somewhere?" "No, I'll be quicker alone." He watched her pull on gloves, soft black leather, not her style, never worn before. A gift? The coat was new too. "Don't be late," he said. "And you don't be late," she shot back, trying to smile. The corners of her mouth twitched. When she left, Jack closed the door softly, without a click. The kids were putting together a puzzle in the living room. Jack sat down beside them. "What's Mom's job again?" he asked casually. "Marketing. With Eric," Emily said. "They have an office downtown," Tony added. "You've been there?" "Number she just says so on the phone." Jack stayed silent. Later, at his laptop, he searched for the company. The website listed no employees. The phone was generic. A photo of a man. He checked the address. Just a business center with hundreds of tenants. Could be a cover company. Could be both. In her desk, he found only old business cards, 2 years out of date. Her laptop was closed, password protected now. That was new. He called Max, an old friend who'd once handled a tricky case for him. Need to check someone. Private matter. Just a name and a photo for now. Roots later. How soon? Max asked. As soon as possible. They exchanged details. Jack sent him the photo of Eric from the website. The day dragged. He tried to read, answered a couple of emails, watched the kids, half present, half waiting for something. Claire came back at 6, wearing makeup, smelling of that heavy vanilla tobacco cologne. Not feminine, not new. She went straight to the bedroom to change, as if nothing were unusual. "How are the kids?" she asked. "Fine. Want dinner?" "They've eaten." She froze for a second. He saw it. The fear, the irritation, the quick calculation of what he knew. "I'm going to shower. I'm exhausted." He nodded, sat in the armchair with a book. Read for 3 minutes. Then set it down. The pause was artificial. The house was filling with tension, like water filling a vessel silently, inevitably. 3 days later, Max called back. His voice was flat, the way it got when he'd found something that didn't need embellishment. That guy, Eric Grant, his name came up in reports a couple years ago. Private clinic, licensing issues. Officially hushed up, but rumors. Data breaches, unauthorized access to medical records, even DNA test manipulation. Nothing proven, but the stains still there. Not officially employed anywhere now, but... Jack waited. For the past 6 months, he's been registered as a visitor in a gated complex. Cameras show a woman visiting the same place often. Name? Not in the system, but I'll send you photos. When the message came, Jack opened it. Claire, in a hooded coat, profile clear enough to recognize. Walking next to Eric. Not holding hands, but too much in sync to be casual. It all lined up now. The cologne, the towel, the salon trips, the pauses in conversation. That night, while Claire was in the kitchen, Jack went into what was technically still their shared bedroom, but now, in reality, hers. He studied the rhythm, how she placed her clothes, where she left her shoes, the arrangement that suggested another person's presence. In the closet, a white men's dress shirt, expensive, not his size. On the shelf, a new razor handle, blades untouched, as if for show. In the bathroom cabinet, painkillers, sedatives, women's vitamins, no condoms, but in the bottom drawer, behind towels, a fresh box of lubricant. Jack didn't touch it, just noted it. The next day, he met Victor, a university friend and a family lawyer. "Division of property without drama. 4 to 6 months, Victor said, flipping through documents. Longer if there's a custody fight. If you've got proof of an affair, photos, video, messages, that puts the court on your side." "I've got circumstantial," Jack said. "I want direct." Victor nodded. "Then we start the collection quietly. Surveillance, financial tracking. No traces. First step, monitor the apartment Eric was using. Second, run a full check on Claire's spending." That night, Jack came home late. The kids were asleep. Claire was curled in the living room with a glass of wine. "Where were you?" she asked without looking up from her book. "With a friend." "We barely see each other. And you don't think it's strange to disappear? You don't think it's strange to put someone else's razor in our bathroom?" She didn't turn the page. Her eyes stayed fixed. He could see the moment she chose her tactic: attack, defense, or evasion. What do you mean? She asked. Nothing. Just a question. Maybe you're imagining things. Paranoia. Her voice was gentle, careful, but he heard the steel under it. Maybe we'll find out, he said, walking past her to the bedroom. She didn't follow. That meant only one thing. She'd already decided which side she was on. That night, Jack didn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, thinking how control can be lost without a fight, how a stranger can seep into a house without noise, without shattering anything, only changing the scent, the towels, the schedules. He wasn't thinking about feelings, only actions. A week later, Claire shifted tactics. Sunday morning, she made breakfast. Omelets, toast, fresh orange juice. The kitchen smelled of mint and butter. Jack stopped in the doorway. She was already at the table, sipping coffee from his favorite chipped mug. Sit, she said. It's all ready. He sat. The kids were still asleep. The house felt oddly calm. Want to go out of town today? She asked. Why? Change of scenery. All of us. Like we used to. Jack ate in silence. The words sounded borrowed, as if from years ago. Or do you still think I'm lying? She added quietly. I don't think, he said. I know. Her hand tightened on the mug. Where are you getting that from? You're trying too hard. That's the first sign. She stood, walked to the window, back to him. You've become cold. I've stopped being convenient. Not the same thing. I don't know what you think is happening, but don't, he cut in. We're both adults. We both know exactly what's happening. She stared, searching his face for a crack. There was none. That afternoon, Jack met with Victor. Victor handed him a flash drive. Surveillance from the apartment building where Eric lived. 8 visits from Claire in 3 weeks. Different days, different times, often in the morning. Always without the kids. Do we put a camera inside? Victor asked. Only if I want undeniable proof. Do you? Yes. Then we'll need a workaround. Access, money, time. Do it, Jack said. Whatever it takes. The next day, Claire left her purse open in the hallway. Jack walked past, then stopped. From an inside pocket, a white envelope stuck out. He slid it out. Inside, a receipt from a jewelry store. Gold pendant, engraving. Purchase date, 3 days ago. No recipient name. He returned it exactly as it had been. That night, she said, I wanted to give you something. No need. Why not? Because you didn't buy it for me. She froze, then snapped. You're tearing this apart yourself. I'm just not pretending anymore. The next day, Jack stopped asking Claire where she was going. She stopped offering explanations. Conversations shrank to logistics. Pick them up, drop them off. Doctor, tomorrow. The silence between them became heavy, like the pressure before a storm. One afternoon, from the hallway, Jack overheard her on the phone. No, it's too soon. He's getting suspicious. Yeah. I'm careful. If anything, I'll say you're just a friend. The voice was low, measured. She wasn't acting. She was building something. Jack didn't walk in. He noted the time. Friday, 3:03 p.m. Internal call, not work. The next morning, Max sent his report. Eric had rented an apartment in a private complex, paid in cash through a front. No registered residence, but cameras showed Claire spending nearly 4 hours there. No luggage. Same bag she used on her work trips. Jack downloaded the archive, filed it by date in a folder named Claire. He wasn't ready for the final move yet. He was still building the structure, cold, methodical, without emotion. That afternoon, he left work early, told them he'd be in the city for contract checks. No one questioned him. He parked a street over from his house, walking the rest. The snow crunched under his boots, his steps slow. not from hesitation, but because he knew haste could ruin everything. A strange SUV was parked at the gate, dark green, tinted windows, out-of-town plates. He memorized the number. Max could run it later. The front door wasn't locked. He stepped in quietly. No voices, no kids. He moved through the first floor, kitchen empty, living room dark, curtains drawn. Up the stairs, the wood creaked softly under his weight. At the far end of the hallway, the bedroom door ajar. He stopped, listening. First, silence. Then, a male voice, muffled. Then Claire's, low, soft. A tone she'd once reserved for nights when they were alone. Jack pushed the door open. Claire lay on her back, hair tousled, one hand on the neck of a man half over her. Shirt on the floor. Eric Grant. They both froze. Claire lifted her head, eyes wide, not with panic, but calculation. What did he see? How much? How to exit? Eric straightened, fumbling for his pants. I thought... Don't think, Jack said evenly. He stepped forward and drove his fist hard into Eric's groin. The man folded with a choked groan. Jack turned, closed the door behind him with a slow click, and walked downstairs. Out the front door. Into his car. He texted Max a photo of the SUV. Run the driver and registration. Will do, came the reply. Jack drove to a small apartment he'd once rented in his early years. Wood-paneled walls, faint smell of tobacco. Clean. Empty. Safe. He opened his laptop. In the Claire folder, he created a subfolder. Confirmed. He moved in the last 2 weeks' files, plus the memory of what he'd just seen. Then he texted Victor. Caught them. In my house. Bedroom. Eric. Direct confirmation. Start. 3 hours later, Claire's calls began. He didn't answer. The messages came next. You've got it all wrong. We can talk. It was a mistake. Don't do anything stupid. Jack didn't respond. Not because he didn't know what to say, but because everything had already been said. Later, Max's update came in. The SUV was a rental under fake ID. Security camera footage synced perfectly with the time Jack had been inside the house. Jack powered his phone off, set it beside him, closed his eyes. No rage, no heartbreak. Just the clean emptiness of a burned-out field, ready for new construction. The next morning, he returned home as if from a business trip. No suitcase, no fuss. Claire wasn't in the kitchen. In the bedroom, the bed was made, fresh sheets, lavender scent. She'd always used lemon detergent before. Downstairs, a coffee cup still steamed faintly on the table. Then footsteps. Claire entered in pajamas, hair wet. She froze for half a second. You're back. Yeah. And he's gone? You've got it wrong. It was supposed to be a surprise. She adjusted the collar of her robe, a reflex to cover up. Jack noted it without comment. How are the kids? He asked. At school. I took them myself. Thanks. I'm going to get dressed. Need to go shopping. The fridge is empty. He waited until she was upstairs before checking her bag, the same one she'd carried on her trips. Inside, tissues, keys, a couple of receipts, perfume, and, at the bottom, a single condom. Same brand as the box he'd seen in the trash. The rest were gone. He put everything back exactly. The next day, he dismissed the housekeeper. No explanation beyond, "We won't need your services anymore." She tried to protest. 6 years working for them, but he stayed polite, handed her severance, and closed the door behind her. Claire found out within hours. "Why didn't you ask me first?" she demanded. "It was my decision. She's been with us 6 years. And she won't be anymore." Her eyes flashed before she hid it. Jack understood. Her grip on the household was slipping. Quietly, he cut off her access to their joint bank account. No warning. transferred all expenses to his personal account, set up a separate debit card for the kids, loaded only with what they needed. 3 days later, she came to him. "My card's not working." "I know." "What does that mean?" "It means everything's separate now." "You're serious?" "Absolutely." That evening, Victor's update came in. The hidden camera inside Eric's apartment was live, and in time it caught what Jack needed. Video of Claire and Eric together, dates matching his logs, audio and visual proof. When Jack opened the footage, there was no anger, just finality. The next morning, Claire tried one more time. "I thought, maybe we could start over," she said over coffee. "No. I'm ready to explain." "Too late." That evening, Jack gathered everything: copies of their prenup, property deeds, the kids' medical records, transcripts of messages, photos, videos, all numbered, indexed, labeled. On Monday morning, he filed. The clerk checked the dates and signatures without questions. An hour later, Claire called. "You filed?" "Yes." "No warning?" "What we were. That warning happened a long time ago." "You're making a mistake. We can talk." The conversation ended when you stopped telling the truth. That evening, she came to his study. "You really want court?" "Yes." "And the publicity?" "If necessary." "You're not thinking about the kids." "That's exactly why I'm doing this." "You can't just take them. They stopped being yours when you started using them." She froze. "What did you just say?" "I mean, legally and practically. You gave up that right." The next day, the court called to confirm the hearing date, 7 days away. That same day, Victor's financial team finished the analysis. Hidden accounts, payments to Eric, purchases in his name using Claire's card. Several transactions matched her business trips, with vague memos like personal services. The kids noticed the tension. Tony spoke even less. Emily finally asked, "Dad, did you and Mom fight?" "No." "Then why aren't you together?" "Because sometimes adults make bad choices." "Mom made a bad choice?" "We both did. She just started lying first." On Friday, Claire took the kids without telling him, saying it was a doctor's appointment. The school texted that they'd been checked out early. He called her. "Where are the kids?" "With me." "Where exactly?" "In the park." "You're violating the order." "You can't dictate to me until the court decides." "I can. Bring them back within an hour, or I file for abduction." They were home 40 minutes later, both quiet, confused. That evening, Jack met Victor to prepare for court. "She's got an aggressive family lawyer," Victor said. "She'll try to make you look cruel." "I don't react to emotion." "Then she'll try to paint you as too cold." "I have documents. I don't need theater." The court date was set for 9 a.m. Jack arrived early, black coat, folder in hand. Victor was waiting with an assistant carrying extra copies. Claire arrived 3 minutes before the session. Light gray suit, straight back, lawyer in tow, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s. She glanced at Jack once. He didn't return it. The judge, a neat, restrained man in his 40s, called them forward. Victor began. Petition for dissolution of marriage on grounds of infidelity and systematic breach of trust. Proof attached. Custody petition. Primary residence with the father. Financial exhibits attached. Claire's lawyer objected, admitted there had been difficulties, insisted Claire deserved a second chance, and asked for mediation. The judge asked for Jack's own statement. He stood, spoke clearly. "Since the beginning of this marriage, my wife has consistently misrepresented the nature of her relationship with a third party. Repeated visits to his residence over the past 2 years. Joint spending on private travel, purchases, and rental of property paid from our shared account. Audio, video, and written evidence confirms a relationship incompatible with marital fidelity. Attempts at constructive discussion failed. I decided to end the marriage. Claire's lawyer rose again. We acknowledge meetings, but deny the interpretation as infidelity. There is no explicit confession in the evidence. Victor handed over a flash drive. Surveillance clips, message logs, receipts, bank records. One clip showed her leaving Eric's building during a supposed business trip. Another, her voice. He'll never find out, as long as he doesn't see. The judge asked, Is that your voice, Mrs. Harper? Claire hesitated. That's out of context. The full context is in the file, Victor said. The judge reviewed in silence, then looked at Jack. Your custody position? The children live with me. Their schooling, schedule, and environment remain stable. Mother's participation only by court approval. Claire's head snapped up. You're taking away my rights? Jack met her eyes. You took them yourself. 3 months later, the decision came. Marriage dissolved. Custody awarded to Jack. Primary residence of the children with him. Claire granted limited visitation, by agreement and under supervision. Her financial claims dismissed. Property divided per the prenup. The house grew quieter, but not with the tense silence of before. This was a calm, clean quiet. Emily started laughing again, freely. Tony began asking questions, no longer weighing every word. So, we live with you now? Emily asked one evening. Yes. And Mom? She lives somewhere else? Forever? I don't know. But for now, it's what's right. They accepted it without tears. Jack realized the storm had passed for them long before the court date. Claire called daily for the first few weeks, then every other day, then only by message. We can start over. Just tell me how. You were right. I didn't know how to stop. The last message came after 43 days of silence. One word. Sorry. Jack didn't answer. Not from malice, just because some doors, once shut, become walls. One afternoon, he saw her by the school gate. She stood half hidden in the shade, watching. Dad, Mom's over there, Emily whispered, squeezing his hand. I see. Are we going to her? Number, we're going home. Claire didn't follow. She took one step forward, then stopped, maybe realizing that step would lead only into empty space. That night, Jack changed the locks, upgraded the alarm, took down the last photos that still had her in them. Not from spite, just for order. A month later, in the mailbox, he found an envelope in her handwriting. Inside, a short note. You were right. I destroyed everything. I thought I was in control, but I was losing it. Thank you for protecting the kids. And yourself. This is the last letter. I won't interfere again. Signed only Claire. No date. Jack set it in a box without anger, without nostalgia. The past could explain, but it could no longer justify. That evening, Tony fell asleep with a hand resting on Jack's shoulder, while Emily read aloud from a book. Jack listened, not to the story, but to her tone. The unease was gone. If the children came through whole, every step had been worth it. Some decisions don't arrive with fury. They arrive in quiet. And in that quiet, you see exactly who you are and who stays beside you. The rest cuts itself away, forever.